So right now we're doing a titration lab. I'm doing a titration lab here in Neighborhood Scientist, your boy. And our buffer solution is acetic acid and sodium acetate. This is our buffer solution. And then we got an indicator there of something I don't know how to pronounce, so you can leave that over there. But if you want to, here you go. Anyway, and then our titrant right now is sodium hydroxide. Now we're gonna start our experiment right now. Oh, almost forgot to write down my initial. Concentration. All right, that's 7 milliliters. We're gonna remember that. No need to write it down. We have a video. Now we're gonna start. There we go. Oh. Now it's dripping. We can stop now. Go. So anyway, on our time skip, we put in the pH measure, and now we're measuring pH. Our initial was 4.67. This is moving kind of slow, so we're gonna have to hit another time skip. So we tried to do another time skip, but there's some technical difficulties because this pH ain't going in. God damn, that buffer is kicking this boy's butt. So as I said before, we were interrupted. I know. Gotta listen for the speaker. It's a buffer solution. So it's gonna try its best to keep that pH at a reasonable level. See? Barely moved. It was at 4.67 in the beginning. It is at 5.09. Now what that means, we know who's winning right now. Get this bad boy out.
Where did you go? You think you can increase my pH without me breaking you? I know you're here somewhere. Where did you go? There you are.
You think you can stop me? I'm gonna raise the pH of this territory.
You can try, but you're not buffer than me. My job here is done.
There we go. Oh, too much.
My job here is done.
Welcome back to Rob and Cheese breakdown of the experiment.
Yeah, that buffer really got buff. You can tell it goes to the gym.
Okay, that was a good one, Roberta.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right. What we just saw was a failed buffer's lab turned into a titration.
Yeah, it was really cool to see that even though the buffer lab failed, the titration one didn't, or even it turned into one actually.
Yeah, exactly. Do you mind explaining me what Aramis was trying to do?
Yeah, what Aramis was trying to do was he was trying to keep the pH in check, and the pH stays in check with a buffer, and a buffer is a conjugate base and it's a weak acid, or the vice versa. It keeps the pH at a lower scale. It doesn't let pH rise up to a high enough scale. It keeps it in check in a certain range.
Nice. Yeah, that's the opposite of what happened.
Yeah, buffers aren't invincible. Buffers, they break at a certain point, which is what we saw, which is what titration does. Titration is a spike, and buffers try to keep that in check.
Yeah. Titration is finding how much acid and base is in the solution.
Okay, but how did it break through the buffer that was in place?
Okay. When enough volume of the acid or base completely reacts to it, and what our colleagues' buffer lab turned into a titration lab, which showed the equivalent point of when the pH is spiked.
Oh, so I get it now. Titration and buffers are the opposite.
No, buffers are what stops titrate from happening.
Oh, so they're like arch enemies.
Exactly. Now, before we continue, we have to bring up the joke of the day.
Why did the attacking army use acid? To neutralize the enemy's base.
That was a really good one. Do you mind explaining to me how to find a buffer?
Yeah, to find the buffer, you have to use the Henderson-Hasselbalch equation. So, for the Henderson-Hasselbalch equation, there's two kinds of equation. There's one for a weak acid and its conjugate base, and there's one for the weak base and its conjugate acid. Both have the same premise, I'll just explain the one that's more commonly used, which is for the weak acid and its conjugate base. You have the HA, which is the molar concentration of the weak acid, and then you have the A negative, is the molar concentration of the conjugate base. You use that with the pH, the pKa, which is the negative log of equilibrium of the weak acid, and then you add it to the log of the A to the A negative and H of A. And then with that, you'll find the pH of the buffer that was used, and you'll be able to see. All right, so with this equation, at the end of it, you'll be able to find the pH of the buffer, which will be how much the pH changed. And so it's going to be in a certain range, maybe of just one pH. So if you start with a pH of 4, it could go up to 4.7. So yeah, and Shadalu, would you mind explaining the titration equation?
Yes, I don't mind. So, when we originally have our titration, we input all the information we have, molarity, one, and the initial molarity, and the second, and the initial volume, and then we equal it to the final, and then the final one. And then what we're basically doing is chemology, algebra, and we're trying to solve for the variable that we're looking for, and essentially we will find our correct answer.
All right, that's all we have for you today on buffers and titrations.
Yeah, we thank you, and we hope that you learned something new.
Goodbye.